Hello, beautiful souls. Thank you so much for joining us today for the Pet Lover Summit. I want to introduce to you our amazing bonus speaker, Dr. Christina Chambreau, and her title today is Discover Empowering Choices for Yourself, Your Pet, and the Planet. Dr. Christina, it's up to you.
Welcome, everybody. I'm so glad you're here at the Pet Summit. So my name is Dr. Christina Chambreau, and I graduated from conventional veterinary school in 1980 at age 30, and I wasn't very holistic at that point. I'd heard of acupuncture, and that was about it. And a few years later, in practice, a client came in and asked me to draw blood and send the results to her homeopathic veterinarian. I said, sure, I'll do that. What's homeopathy? And I learned about homeopathy, and I had their local veterinarian had taken the first weekend course offered in the US in 1981. And he sent me 2 bottles of homeopathic medicines that are good for bladder problems. Now, that's not how homeopathy works, but he sent those to me, and I gave them at some point months later to a cat who'd been on antibiotics for 3 years. Oh. They couldn't get her off every time they tried. And so she tried it. It worked. Within 2 weeks, the cat was off antibiotics for the next 9 months I was at the practice.
Yes, I love it.
So that got me hooked on homeopathy. And as I studied homeopathy, I learned that this is what the angels wanted me to be doing. Wow. And really followed. I just said yes. And opportunity after opportunity and course after course, and learned more about holistic as well as homeopathy. So so then I continued, and by 87, I was doing a telephone consulting homeopathic practice with people all over the world, teaching and speaking, which I loved, media, written, print, all of those things. And and doing holistic for myself. So I was on the path. I was moving on the path. And then when I turned 65, I knew there were now enough homeopathic veterinarians out there. I could quit being the vet. And now I do just what I love, which is teaching and speaking and writing and all of that. I do a phone consulting coaching practice now. So you can contact me if you don't know what to do. If you have a new puppy and you want to start down the right path. If the veterinarian has said, well, you've got 2 options, spend $15,000 or euthanize your cat right today. Just talking to somebody a minute ago on that.
No.
Luckily, she was holistic. And so she called me. People who haven't ever heard about this. And so be ambassadors, spread the word about this. So that's who I am. I now live in Florida in the winter, Washington State in the summer. My husband and I have a great life. I love what I do. And I love helping each of you make the decisions that you need to help your pets be healthier. And so at this conference, at this summit, there's so much information coming in.
Yes.
About different topics. And some of the speakers may actually have conflicting ideas because there is no one right answer. And
so how do we discover these empowering choices for ourselves?
Well, that's the first trick, is to realize there's no one right answer. And then you won't feel guilty about whatever choice you make. The second is common sense. Does this make sense to me in my life, in how I live, how my animals live? Does it make common sense? Next, you can move to the next level of really learning how to ask the universe what you should be doing. So there's dowsing, pendulums, applied kinesiology. You can do it this way with your fingers. So there are multiple ways of learning, and it takes some learning and a lot of practice of learning how to make decisions. There's a great process that you can do over and over again that can help you make any of your decisions for your animals. It's called HMDM, Holistic Medical Decision Making. And
nice.
My colleague, Jeff Feynman, who created the Holistic Actions Academy, of which I'm a faculty and do a lot of teaching at, created this or put it together. And it makes so much sense. First, step one, what's your goal? So in this moment, do you have a dog who is a breed that tends to bloat and the dog is burping a lot and now is vomited once? The goal may be get to the veterinarian immediately to save a life. And while you're going, what else can you do? You could do Reiki, any sort of energy healing. You could use a flower essence like rescue remedy. You could already have on hand homeopathic medicines that are known to help. And maybe by the time you get to the vet, your dog is going to be fine. You could know acupressure points that you could use. So you can train yourself to be ready for the emergencies. But right now, your goal is fix it. Research is the next step. Well, let me back up. The second goal you could have is build the vitality and the balance so your animal can heal itself. And we'll talk a lot more about that because that's what we're focused on in this summit, is healing ourselves, our animals, and the planet, which is so perfect. I just love it. So as you do your research, you're going to find internet ideas. Be a little careful on that. Maybe you've got a good Facebook group you're with. Maybe you've created a holistic healthcare team you can talk to. They're wonderful books for each of these modalities. Your veterinarian is part of your research. Maybe you do diagnostics like blood tests or x-rays. And then here's the key. You've come to the summit and you've got all your notes from the summit and you're going back, and maybe you paid for the summit. And so to have ongoing access. And so you go back and check that info, and then you sit back. This is the key. You sit back and think. You pause and say, what is right now? Given my goal, what do I need to do now? And then you do it. You take action. You write a plan, you take action, and then very important part of step 3 of taking action is evaluating if what your decision was is the best one or not. And how you do that is by another acronym that my colleague Jeff Feynman came up with, which is BEAM. Shine the light, beam the light on health, behavior, energy, appetite, and mood. So you have decided you want to build health as your goal. You've researched about feeding a fresh food diet. You're really committed to helping the planet. And you know that commercial food, there's a place where they're making it. Stuff gets shipped in from all over the world, and you don't know the quality of those ingredients, and they may not even know them either. And then it gets all made and packaged, and lots of energy is used. And then it gets shipped out to distribution centers, and then it gets shipped out to your store. And then you drive to your store. Think of the energy cost to the environment of commercial food, and it's not as healthy. So therefore, you've researched, so you've decided you want to feed a better diet. You want to make it yourself. And then you start researching all of the different options. And then your action step is to start, you're going to do the approach of let's switch overnight. And you put out this fresh food and your dog looks at you and goes, oh, she finally figured it out, and scarfs it up and is really great. And the next few days you're doing it and he still likes to eat and his energy is better. His behavior, some of these little odd behavior quirks that weren't happy, they go away, and he's acting happier, more energized. And so BEAM is better. Maybe he had some skin problems going on when you started this, and he was itchy. So his BEAM is better, but all of a sudden it seems like his itchiness is getting worse.
Uh-oh.
So now you're going to have a new goal.
Mm-hmm.
You know the food is working. He's feeling better overall, but one symptom is still there, maybe a little worse. So now what can I do in addition for that symptom? Well, you were listening to a summit, you did some research, and you heard about using flower essences for skin problems. And you heard about you knew about using drugs for skin problems, and you heard about some herbs. Well, you have a dog who, even though he's eating enthusiastically, if you put any kind of medicine in food, he won't eat it. He hates having you put a pill down his throat. So you sit and think about what you're going to do. Well, you don't want to do the conventional pills. He doesn't like to take them. And that hurts the planet. All the drugs, and what's the effect of drugs on the planet? So you don't want to do that one. And herbs, you don't have an herb store nearby, and you're trying to avoid having things shipped through the mail.
Right.
And it's the middle of winter. You're living in the wilds up in Aroostook, Maine. And so you can't go out and pick your own herbs, which would be really wonderful if you can use things that are grown where you live.
Right.
And so then you go flower essences. Okay. And even though you have to order those and have them shipped, they will last. One bottle of a flower essence will last for 20 years, 40 years until you use it up.
Really? Those are amazing.
They never expire.
That's amazing. So Bach flower essences, are there others? I'm familiar with Bach.
So Bach flowers are wonderful. There are 38 of them. You can learn these, but there's also companies that are making them from plants all over the world. So in New Hampshire is the Green Hope Essence Company, raised right there in New Hampshire. She uses glycerin instead of alcohol in preparing the bottles.
Yes.
So you don't have to, but you still can dilute it. And she makes combinations for animals. So there's flow free for any time, any bladder issues, or even emotional issues that need to flow. And so she has specific ones. Veterinarian Jean Hovey created spirit essences that are now, her cat was named Spirit. And she actually doesn't even have to pick the flowers anymore. She holds her alcohol, and the flowers put their essence in it. The Teton Mountains put their essences in it. And she makes these medicines that are specifically, there's para out of sight that can get rid of parasites. There's vaccine detox, which can help when you have to do your legally required rabies. No other vaccines, please. You just don't need any other vaccines.
Yes.
Rabies, stay legal, but they have to be healthy when they get it. Para out of sight can help. They're now being sold by Jackson Galaxy, and they're they're called solutions, not essences. If you're going to his website, you might have trouble finding them if you put in spirit essences. So it's Jackson Galaxy Solutions, and they have a wonderful variety. And there are other companies that are out there that have made some for specific animal problems. But whatever flower essences you have found work for you can work for your animals. And again, even if there's an expiration date on the bottle, ignore it.
Gotcha.
And that's true for homeopathic medicines as well. Ignore any expiration dates. People are still taking medicines, remedies that Hahnemann made over 200 years ago in Germany.
Yeah.
In St. Louis, people in the St. Louis Study Club are able to take medicines that Dr. Kent made in 1900. So as long as there's enough left in the bottle, 3/4 of the bottle is still there. They can take a couple of pellets. So it doesn't expire. So
amazing.
You've decided you're going to spend some money and the environment to bring in flower essences. Now you start with the flower essences, and the beam is still good. The eating is still good. And now the itching starts to slowly decrease, and you go, all right.
Nice.
And maybe something else happens. And so then you try acupressure. So all of this is examples of how you can be in charge of your animal's health. And guess what? It applies to all the people in your life as well, including yourself. So there's nothing different. Everything we do for people, we can do for animals, almost everything.
Yes.
Heart transplant, kidney transplant. They aren't done often, but they could be done.
Right. Yes.
Acupuncture, chiropractic, herbs, flower essences, Tellington touch. There is so much that you can do. Now, one of the keys, so already you're thinking, I'm a little overwhelmed. I've done my research and I've tried something, and now I can't remember. When did I start the flower essences? Did I do that before or after the acupressure? So I'd been in practice about 20, 25 years, and my clients and students all around the world were saying, write a book, Dr. Chambreau. And I'm going, there are really good books out there. There's Dr. Picure, and there's Anitra Fraser, there's Ann Schwartz, there's all of these wonderful books. A new one isn't needed. And then I went, you know what's needed is a journal where you don't have to remember things because you're writing them down. I mean, how often do you forget stuff, you know?
Sure.
Every day. So I wrote the book, The Healthy Animals Journal.
Yes.
And I printed 5,000 of them. And by the time I sold 1,000 the first year and paid the bill for it. So here's the front of The Healthy Animals Journal. And you see there is a cat in the print version. And here is the areas for you to write in.
Beautiful.
And where you can get this, the ebooks, you can order directly from my website. The print book, you can also order from my website. And sometimes there's glitches, and you just email me at healthyanimals@aol.com. And then we do it with me. And the book is available on Amazon, of course. I edited the book and created the Healthy Dog Journal because some dog people didn't want to read about cat stuff. And then I wrote the healthy, although we chose to put a cat picture on the cover where you're going to put your picture of your animal, because a dog person would buy a book that had a cat on the cover knowing they'd cover it up, but a cat person wouldn't. So then we bought
I love this psychology. I love it.
Well, we really wrestled with this. I had some people helping me write the book, and big decisions. And so then I also wrote the ebook, The Healthy Cat Journal. And
there you go.
Joyce Harmon and I have written the Healthy Horse Journal, but we haven't finished it. And I now have another person who's working with me who super excited about getting it done. So soon we'll have the Healthy Horse Journal as well. And that way, you write your master symptom, you figure out what's going on and your goal. You write down all the symptoms, you do a timeline of what's ever happened in the past and now. Then you write down a master symptom list of the specific symptoms. Like if diarrhea came 3 or 4 times, you just write it down once. And on the back of the bookmark is a early warning sign list. Now, this is another important piece.
Love it.
You've written the history, and now you want to know, how is my dog now? So you do a physical exam yourself, and you write down anything you notice. You add that to the list. Then you look at these early warning signs. Does my dog have goop in the corner of his eyes in the morning that I have to pick out? Are there tears draining down the face? Do I have to give my dog a bath, or otherwise he stinks? Is my cat vomiting hairballs and has to stay on hairball gel, even if it's an organic Buddha's Mix one? Does my dog or cat have a little red line where the teeth go into the gums that comes and goes? It's not like tartar gingivitis.
Sure.
All of these issues, they're little clues that the underlying energy field is out of balance. So it's like right now our planet is screaming with earthquakes and tsunamis, and temperatures is screaming about what we did.
Yes.
But early on, you knew things were wrong when the temperatures just weren't quite right anymore, or when your favorite plants just didn't seem to grow as much, or there were fewer birds. So it's the same thing. It's not that it's pointing to a specific problem. Fewer birds didn't necessarily mean DDT. It could have meant many, many other things. These are simply clues that the internal energy field is out of whack. So at that point, so you add those to your list. Now, if you've had a pretty healthy pet up to this point, and you want to keep him that way, then you look first at these early warning signs and you check periodically, once a month. Are there any of these? You do a physical exam once a month yourself. And then you do something to generally improve the balance and the health. You put together a holistic healthcare team. You learn acupressure, you learn flower essences, you learn Reiki, food. What's the best food for people to eat? What's the best food for the environment? Do you want to feed a person a people food, eat Amy's pot pie twice a day for the rest of your life? Do you want a person to find 3 recipes that they like, and that's all they ever eat are those 3 recipes? No. So you research, you learn. How do animals eat in the wild? What's their anatomy? What are their teeth like? Number 2, toxins. You avoid toxins, fleas, tick, chemicals. You avoid chemicals. You ask yourself that. Remember I said at the beginning, use your common sense. Does common sense say that you want to put a flea collar, a tick collar on your 2-year-old toddler because he toddles in the woods? No. Vaccines. You don't want to do them except for rabies. So these are the basics of health, and each one of them helps the environment. So flea and tick chemicals come in a box. They come in, they're made from plastic. They've got plastic wrapping. They had to be made and shipped. And they've got harmful chemicals that are going out into your family's home and into the environment. So
yes.
Have we covered what we said we would cover?
I think you did amazing. And I love that there's so many things swimming in my brain. First of all, thank you for reminding us that we have all the answers if we sit still. And that nature, whether it be herbs or flower essences, can provide so much more for us and have such a more gentle impact on the planet. And energy healing as well. As an energy healer and a teacher myself, I can tell you it's so powerful, it's so amazing, and it's for all species and the planet. So amazing. I have one question for you because I had an interaction with someone recently. Do you recommend trying one new thing at a time, or do you recommend trying like 5 different things all at once when your pet is having issues?
Great question. And it gets back to the answer is it depends. And it gets back to your common sense. So if you have a puppy that's just been delivered and it's not breathing, I'm gonna stick an acupuncture needle in GV26. I'm gonna give it a dose of carbo-veg homeopathy. I'm gonna shake it and twist it and shake it around and do all that sort of stuff. So I'm gonna do everything. All at
emergency. Emergency mode.
So in emergency mode, you do everything. And that's, again, emergencies is the reason that every one of you needs to become an energy healer. Every single person, because you always have your hands and your intention. You know, if you're out on the trail, you may not have anything else, but that can make a huge difference.
Yes.
Now, if you have an animal who's been ill for a while, then it's much better to do one thing at a time, because then you know, as you're doing that evaluation of response, which one's
using the journal
difference, right?
Yes.
So if, for instance, you've had a dog that's been limping
Mhm.
And you decided that maybe diet will help. So you change the diet. At the same
Mhm.
time, you could add in a supplement for limping.
Right.
Then if the limping goes away, you continue with the good diet and you stop the supplement and see what happens.
Right.
And the
Okay.
other thing is, as you're trying different recommendations that have been made, it's important to rotate what you're doing. So if you decide probiotics, really important, don't just pick one probiotic and use it forever. Try different probiotics. Use one until it's almost done, and then get another one that's been recommended. And that's one of the ways, with the multiple input that you're going to get from the summit, is that you will be able to try everybody's suggestions, just not all at one time. So that
Right.
was a very good point.
I love that. And thank you for just reminding us that we really do have the tools and the answers to the map to discover our true healing for ourselves and our animals and the planet. I so honor you for being here today. Can you please tell me, what is your website? How do people find you? How do they find your journal? We need to know how we can connect with you.
Absolutely. So it's ChristinaChambreau.com
Mhm.
is my website. And I give my phone number out. So my phone number is 443-895-9555. And I do the coaching. I can schedule the coaching calls.
Mhm.
And then to learn the most and to have really reliable information, I would look at becoming a member. You can look around the website for free, but I'd become a member of Holistic Actions. So that's
Beautiful.
So we'll have a link, a specific link for
All
you
the
for
links
that.
and Dr. Christina Chambreau's phone number, everything will be below this video for you to find.
Wonderful. That is excellent.
Yes. All right. Dr. Christina Chambreau, thank you so much for spending time with us today. I truly appreciate you and all the vast knowledge that you have shared with us. Thank you for being here with us on the Pet Lover Summit.
Oh, you are so welcome. Now